Hello, everyone, and welcome to How to Women's Range Days Masterclass Series by the She Shoots. This is episode 2, Ladies Range Day Location and Planning. To quickly recap, we have organized the series into 6 episodes where we will cover everything you need to know about hosting a Women's Range Day. Episode 1, Ladies Range Day Getting Started. If you missed it, you can go back and watch it and then come back to episode 2. No rush, we won't be going anywhere. Episode 2, Location and Planning. Episode 3, Marketing and Promotion. Episode 4, Organizing the Logistics. Episode 5, Event Day. And Episode 6, Follow Up. Before we get started, let's introduce ourselves and thank our sponsors. I am Regina Ruiz Ordonez, the director of the CUSF Women's Division, Deneen Tomlin and Casey Gavinchuk, founders of Lady Guns, and Kelly Melanson, director and senior instructor of Maple State Project. Thank you to our sponsors, Cabela's Canada Outdoor Fund, positively shaping the future of the outdoors. Every cent donated by branding up at checkout goes towards helping Canadian organizations just like ours. Savage Arms, home to the Stevens single-shot rifles and shotguns. Beretta, family-owned and operated since 1526. And Vortex, the best in optics. On today's episode 2, Ladies Range Day Location and Planning, we will be covering the following topics: find a range, programming, types of firearms and ammo, targets, and cost.
Thank you so much, Regina. Kelly and I have got some ideas, tips, and tricks together to share with you guys today. So welcome, and let's get talking about it. So range day, location, and planning. Well, obviously, the first thing we have to do is find a place. We have to find a range. And so let's talk about what kind of ranges we have available to us here in Canada. So we've got public ranges, which are different than public places. Of course, those are approved. We have private ranges where they are governed by a committee, a community, and they're usually membership based with membership fees. We have the opportunity to use acreages or ranches if we're going to work with non-restricted. So sometimes we're fortunate that we have a donation of a use of space, and we can use that for things like shotguns, rifles, and archery. So finding our range is really important. Talking to people about where we can take this event and where we can host it. And then we want to make sure that we've got that community buy-in with whatever location we may choose. And so let's talk a little bit about what we can do there, Kelly. Let's talk about programming.
Sure. So Deneen broke it down really well with respect to whatever range or property that you may want to hold this event on. But depending on each range, each range is templated differently. And what we mean by template, it means what you're allowed to do on that range. So for example, if there is a skeet and trap club, you probably won't be able to shoot rifles on that range. So you have to plan your event according to, or the program that you're going to be doing on that day is according to whatever that range is. So as I said, so for a trap and skeet club, you're going to be using probably shotguns. So when we talk about shotguns, you probably want to bring out the ones that are going to be most readily available, like a 12 gauge, maybe even a 20 gauge. And that's also, you have to coordinate your ammo with that too. If we're talking about a range that is member driven, they may actually have both pistol and rifle ranges, but they may also actually have a range that is for your shotguns. So again, when you're planning your event, you have to figure out what types of firearms and what types of ammo to coordinate to those rifles or shotguns. The private ranges or the specifically land that Deneen was talking about, again, it's non-restricted. You can't shoot restricted firearms. So it's typically based on a rifle or it is actually a shotgun. You won't be able to bring your pistols to that. So when we are talking about firearms, you want to pick firearms, again, that's in the caliber that's going to be most readily available. And also a cost-saving measure, probably the ammo is going to be the most readily available as well. So when we talk about that, it's 22 for your rifle or your pistol, 9 mil for your rifle or pistol as well. Maybe even 5.56 if we want to bring in those rifles, as some of them are non-restricted. And then we also have our shotguns, again, 12 gauge. We may even want to do some 20. When we get into other calibers like the 410 or the 28 gauge, your cost of ammo is going to go up. So I think that's about it with rifles and ammo.
I think that's excellent.
Firearms and ammo. Yeah,
absolutely. The one piece that we didn't talk about that may have a little bit of special treatment, Kelly, is when we're finding a range, we also have indoor ranges as options to host range days.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's right.
A lot of what we've talked about is based on outdoor participation and outdoor activity. So if we want to host a range day and we want to use an indoor facility, typically we're going to go to a business of operations or a community that has an indoor range. And so again, the same rules apply on what can be used and engaging the owner operator of that indoor range. It might be more accessible to people to be able to access and participate. But again, it is limited in space. So any additional thoughts, Kelly, on utilizing an indoor range versus an outdoor range? We do know it doesn't snow or rain indoors. So
right. So it could be any time of the year.
That's right.
But you do want to take into account noise levels indoor. It is a smaller space. And also, again, with caliber, the ranges themselves will have specific caliber specific to indoor. So it may be 22, 9 mil. You probably aren't going to be able to use a shotgun. So that will take that out of it. When I say probably, you won't be able to use a shotgun indoors. So you have to plan for that as well. If it is an indoor range, there are some clubs that have their own range that's indoor. It's fantastic, but you would have to provide the firearms and the ammo. And then there's other places. It's a business, and they have an indoor range where you could probably rent and buy the ammo there. So those are things to consider as well.
Excellent idea. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to shoot from a downrange perspective. What kind of targets we're going to use. Whether it's indoor or outdoor, again, rules are based on the range or the club itself. So just to illustrate a few of the ideas that can be used, obviously paper targets. Paper targets are fun. We can have any type of imagery, whether it be seasonal, whether it be pink for ladies or purple, whether it might have zombies on it. Paper targets can be lots of fun. We also have reactive targets. So there are some paper targets that have reactive ability, and there are other types of reactive targets when you're outdoors as well. Steel's an excellent option because it has an immediate response to the shooter. You get to hear that you've hit the target. So if your range, outdoor range, has the opportunity to provide steel targets, and they teach you how to use those steel targets, then it is an excellent opportunity for people. And new shooters love the sound of ringing steel, or some steel that might move, or a plate that might fall off, much more reactive. And again, if we touch on some of those private clubs or clubs that are run by groups, sometimes they allow you to put a fun seasonal shoot in, like, for example, around Halloween, when those pumpkins are readily available and people like to shoot those. So not all ranges will allow you to do things like that because they have rules based on where they are set up in proximity to wildlife, or what they might be able to allow on the range itself, because there's a cleanup option. So those are some of the target types that we might include in a range day.
Yeah. With targets, I know that women like to shoot those targets, but they also like to bring them home with them too. So you're not bringing home a pumpkin that you've just blown up, but maybe some paper targets or fun paper targets. The participants can take that home and show everybody how well they've done.
That's right. Great souvenirs from range days, ladies' range days. Good point, Kelly. Everybody loves to bring a fun target home to show off.
So the other thing that we really want to talk about is cost. We're not going to be talking about pricing. We'll get into that in the next episode, but we do want to talk about the cost of hosting one of these events. So you have to figure into it the range costs. I'm going to tell you right now that if you go to a range, ask them if they'll donate the range, because you're bringing in women, families, people who may actually become club members, but also increasing our sport. So they may donate the range to you, but if not, you have to factor that into the cost of hosting that event. Other costs that you have to think about are ammo. We just talked about ammo and what type of firearms you want to bring, but in order for you to have a shoot, you have to buy that ammo. The last thing that we want to talk about is with cost, factoring in other things, like, for example, porta potties, or maybe even just some food for the event too. So start that planning, start figuring out the cost of things, and then we'll get into how we're going to actually cover that in our next episode.
Excellent. So I was just going to recap. We've talked about how to find a range and what kind of range we have, what kind of firearms and ammo we might want to think about in that programming, the kind of targets we're going to use or hopefully have access to, and the related costs to consider when we're putting this package together. So I think we've covered everything off for today's episode of Range Day Location and Planning.
Awesome. Hey, if you like the masterclass and would like to see more content like this from us, please leave us a like and follow us. You can watch all of our masterclass series episodes on the CUSF YouTube channel and the Lady Guns YouTube channel and Facebook page. If you liked our message and would like to learn more about our programs, check out our websites at cusf.ca, ladyguns.ca, and maplesleeprifleman.com. To support us and get some additional perks, check out our membership programs. Thank you all for joining us on the second episode of the How to Women's Range Day Masterclass series, Location and Planning. Make sure to watch episode 3, Marketing and Promotion, already available for your learning pleasure.